father. My father was really the main influence, the biggest influence in terms of music and my appreciation of it. My father was a machine operator at a place called Cannon Rubber Manufacturers based in Edmonton, North London. And my mother was a nurse in Tottenham, and they worked very, very hard. And as a form of relaxation, my mother would cook a big pot of food, cook a big pot of soup on a Saturday, and cook a big pot of rice and peas on a Sunday. And my father would basically have the Ray and nephew in the good cabinet in the living room that nobody can basically touch. All our upbringing was more or less like that, as Afro-Caribbeans living in the UK. Myself being British with a Jamaican parentage, it was very typical of the era. And my father would basically play a lot of secular music on a Saturday. He would play Otis Redding, Fats Domino, Nat King Cole, Lloyd Price, straight up to Bob, Dennis and Gregory. There was quite a few songs that I heard, at a very early age, from like around 5, 6 years old. And for some reason, the songs would just basically make me cry, and I couldn't overstand it. And one of those songs was Jimmy Cliff's Wonderful World, Beautiful People. And it wasn't really until I reached a certain age where I really, really understood what it was in the music that brought out the emotive qualities of it and made me cry like that. And it was like violins, violins used in reggae was a rare thing at the time. There was only a few artists that done it, obviously Jimmy Cliff and John Holt. And it was just a thing that, it just kind of raptured me. It's like as a boy growing up, I didn't really have no interest in toys and such. It's like it was just music. All I really wanted was like a cassette recorder to tape the reggae programs of the day, which were very few. You had people like Steve Barnard, who would have a program every Sunday. It wasn't a good time for me because I was sent to church on a Sunday at the time when Steve Barnard's program Reggae Time was on. So I would have to find a lot of excuses not to even go to church, or to go to church and to come back early and pretend that the service finished early, But such was my appreciation of music, especially reggae music, that it was worth the chastising, let's say. And growing up listening to even more and more music, even the same music that I listened to when I was a child, and getting to really understand, the emotion behind it. Tracks like Otis Redding, These Arms of Mine, without a doubt, was one of those tracks. It was a seminal track for me, and that really greatened my liking for the music. 1977, I was 13 years old. It was my first visit to Jamaica. Bob Marley's Exodus was the album of the year that time, and ironically the album was made in the UK after his exile. As a black British youth going to Jamaica for the first time and watching people like Freddie McGregor and Dennis Brown on the TV 24/7 regular was like a culture shock for me, because in England we only had 3 stations, BBC 1, BBC 2 and ITV, that was it. And don't even ask about black culture being featured on the media at that time. It was very few and far between. There'd be a saying in a black family's household. Whenever a black person would appear on a program, they would say, "Quick, come, black people on TV." That's what they would say. It's a true thing, because we never really had that much black culture featured on TV. But there was a few renegades and revolutionaries, that brought it into the media. People like John Peel and Aquarius at that time, a very famous arts program, would basically bring that about, bring the history of reggae music, Caribbean music, and everything kind of interweaved with each other until really my second visit to Jamaica, which was like 1981. We originally emigrated to Jamaica, and sadly my father passed away in 1982. And during that time, I was much older, obviously, and I was able to go to the original dancehalls at the time, you know, watching sounds like Aces and people like Yellow Man and Eka Mouse, Ringo, Tyan, Borough, all those, you know, those artists back in the day. Because the producer that was really carrying the swing was Henry Junja Laws and George Pang. And it was like, it was just a real creative time in terms of, you know, what people would basically write songs about and things like that. And it would have like a comedic value as well. That's what I miss these days, you know, just a song just having a comedic value and just engaging people to have a good time. But going back to 1982, that was really the time that it was confirmed to me that I wanted to become a singer, because my other influence, Dennis Emmanuel Brown, had a big hit with Big Youth and Trinity. He had a song called To the Foundation and Funny Feeling. They were both a double A side on Gussie Clarke's label. And he also had a hit called Equal Rights as well, which featured Big Youth, like I said. And that was it, you know. Dennis Brown's vocal was something that I never really heard before, you know, in Jamaica, in that way, in the frequency that I heard it. And it was just something that I really was enraptured by. And yeah, from there, I just wanted to become a singer, you know. But at first, I started to become a DJ, you know, serving my apprenticeships on different sound systems on my arrival to the UK subsequently. But in answer to your question, you know, my father, for actually introducing me to music per se, and Dennis Brown introducing me to melodic, lovers, romantic, roots, joyful, upful music. Dennis Brown and my dad, they both served as major influences in my career.